So on our card, let's go ahead and write out the derivative of arcsine and arctangent. And as a reminder, I want you to write something on the top. So in the former times, we had sine inverse of x. And you'll see typically in calculus, instead of the inverse, we're going to use arcsine. If it bothers you that it's got arc in it, rewrite it as an inverse, whatever your preference is. So on our flashcard, let me use the same color, green. Let's write out the following formula. So to find the derivative of the arcsine of u, and let's go ahead and highlight the u because it's all about the u, just like the exponential and natural log, is 1 over square root of 1 minus u squared times the u prime, just like the chain rule. And that behavior is somewhat similar on the arctangent. So let's write the bottom one. And those of you guys without the flashcard, at least write it on your paper, please. And these need to be memorized. Oh, so we get 1 over 1 plus the u squared times the u prime. And I think I want to go ahead and highlight, just like the previous two, the u's within the formula. Let's see. So let's actually apply them. On part A, let's go ahead and circle the piece that is replacing u, which is 2 to the x. And we're literally going to mimic the formula. So here I go. Y prime is equal to 1 over, now looking at the formula, I need square root. What do I need inside? 1 minus. Now the way I'm going to write the u squared is the whole component squared. And then we're only deriving the inside that I initially circled. 2 to the 2x has derivative of what? 2. Now for my test, I'm going to be perfectly fine with this. If this were to be a multiple choice, they'll have it as 2 all over the bottom. And on our bottom, notice 2x squared can be further simplified to 4x squared. So if it's a multiple choice, it'll be the final one. For me, I'm good with the initial one. Question?
Why didn't we do anything with the arc sign?
What about the arc sign?
Like, do we not have to do anything?
No, that's it. That's it. Okay, just take it as it is. Okay. All right. So then I want to go on to another arc sign while we're at it. Let's do part C. On part C, start by circling the u. And I want to also rewrite this as our power, x to the 1/2. So again, let's go ahead and mimic our formula. We have our y prime is equal to. We have 1 all over. What sign do I need after on the bottom? Square root. What goes in the inside? 1 minus. And I know for the next piece, I'm going to leave it as a square root, or you can leave it as 1/2 on the power. I prefer this one. That's just my preference. It doesn't mean it's going to be marked wrong. You pick whichever one you want. Now, the reason I wrote x to the 1/2 is deriving that is easier. To find the derivative of this, it is 1/2 x to the power of 1 less negative 1/2. And I am perfectly okay with this. Oh, that box is a little not very nice. All right, so let's do the one below before we get to our tangent. How many components of x do I have on this one? 2 of them. I'm going to go ahead and emphasize by rewriting on the top. And then we have arc sine of 3x. So we know these two things are being multiplied. So what rule are we going to use that we need practice on? Product rule. So here I go. The product rule states, derive the first one. What is the derivative of my first set?
1.
1. You can put that in parentheses if you want. And then we keep the second set as it is. Copying should not be a problem. And then we have plus. What do I do with the first one on the second part? We leave it. And then I'm going to circle the inside piece just because that was my habit. 1 over, using the formula, I get 1 minus 3x squared. And then we derive the 3x, which is 3. And that's it. You can leave that one at the beginning and just leave it just like that, unsimplified. All right, now let's look at our tangent. And let's first compare our sine and tangent differences and see if we can figure out a way to remember this. When I see arctangent, I see a plus sign, so I tell myself to put a plus sign. That's just my way of remembering it. If you have another way, go for it. When I see a sign, I think of sign change. So opposite of sign of that positive sign is negative. Again, if you have another way, figure it out, okay? So let's apply our tangent then. Start by circling out the u component. And let's write out the following. Y prime is equal to, the formula states 1 over 1 plus that whole component squared. And then we need to go ahead and derive that inside. What is the derivative of 3x? And that's it. Don't do any more unless we have a multiple choice. I'm going to box that. Okay, let's try part D with a partner and see if y'all remember deriving exponential. Go. Derive the e's. And here's a formula in case you forgot. There we go.
Oh, duh.
Ten more seconds.
That's not very good.
All right, let's go over this. So if you're talking, hush and look at the board. And then we need to derive the e to the x. Now remember, e to the x is e to the x again, and then that derivative of the exponential. Is everyone listening? Not everybody. Eyes on the board. So derivative of e to the x is that itself, and then we derive the exponent, which is 2. So if I lost you on this part, you need to watch the video from 2.10.
So it wouldn't just be times 2.
Times 2, it is times 2 right here. No, it won't be, because inside has e to the u, so you have to keep that on there.
Keep it as that derived?
Yep. All right, the next piece, we're going to be practicing our quotient rule. So on our quotient rule, let's write on the bottom here, y prime. What am I going to do on the bottom immediately before deriving the top? Squared. You can write x squared, and if you're like, hey, I want parentheses, go for it. So the rule says we derive the top first. So on my top, let's circle the piece that is replacing the u. And mimic. We have 1 over 1 plus x squared. And then we derive that piece. And when I derive the x, what is that going to give us? 1. If you want to write out the 1, if it bothers you, don't write it. So I have minus.
Will it be under a radical?
Will it be under a radical? Where are we? For the tangent, tangent will not be under a radical. Okay? And then minus, and then we keep the first one. And then what do I do with the bottom? Derive. And when I derive the bottom, what do I get? 1. Again, if that 1 bothers you, you don't need to write that piece. The top, and what do I do with the bottom? Don't we leave the bottom? So we were supposed to have the x right there.